I'm honoured to be sitting with Johannes Eckerström, vocalist of Avatar.
That's correct.
Well, yes, it is correct. I'm honoured, you're right.
Accurate.
How are you doing?
Doing very good. We are, how many shows deep? 6 shows deep now, counting tonight, into our little UK run here. That's been kicking off our Dance Devil Dance thing. And it's been amazing. I think we've broken some personal records and some personal bones on these shows. So, and it, starting to hit that stride, and we got so much ahead of us still that it's fun to be in this band always, but now it's particularly fun.
Great stuff. Are you heading out to Europe after you finish the UK leg?
Yeah, exactly. We'll have a brief break at home before we hit the continents, but it's essentially the same tour that just keeps going.
So, Dance Devil Dance obviously just came out. It's your 9th album, but you've released this on your own label.
Yeah.
Was that something that's freed you up to do more of what you wanted to do, rather than almost having that you were thinking, oh, is the label going to like this? Are they going to say?
No, I don't. I think we were pretty good through the years to build that confidence and the attitude of like, hey, you guys signed us because of what we do, and if you get in the way, blah blah, just shut off. That and so we never had those kind of issues with labels in terms of artistically. It's just we are a strong little collective in terms of protecting each other and figuring out together what we want to do. So that's a hard castle to storm. So that part was never the issue. It's more on the business end of things where it got exciting for us, where we are moving now on a level where we feel that certain things in terms of who we work with in different markets, business relationships, and what we want to put out and not where we want to spend that energy, because essentially, in any record contract, it's your money anyway. It's just a loan.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's not that I didn't come here in a gold-plated helicopter, but there were a little bit of resources to make the choices for ourselves.
But there's time. The gold-plated helicopter can come.
But we didn't wait for that helicopter before we did this label thing. And of course, we did this with 30 Tiger as distributor. It's a very, feels like a very modern kind of way of doing it right now, because we had very interesting and attractive offers at the table, but offers where it felt like we don't necessarily feel that this is how we get to the next level the most efficiently. Because we also, when it comes to the people who call you or write you and let you know that you can talk to me, and those kind of relationships, we had ended up doing the best in places with those kind of things where we had found our guys and gals to do it anyway. So then we cut out a middleman in many of these cases to build these networks ourselves. And unless Universal comes and tells me I'm just as cute as Taylor Swift and wants to throw that kind of, let's make them that famous kind of
you investment. Have much longer legs, Johannes.
I do.
Whether they look as good in a pair of tights, I'm not so sure.
But
I don't know, maybe.
I'm wearing tights as we speak. I'm working out, and I think I'm doing well. I
think you're doing better than me.
When they sell, the covers are little packages of nylon socks when you buy that at the ladies. Usually men's legs.
Not mine.
No, not mine either, but it's
a
thing. But that being said, like on the level where we are at, we just felt we could assume control over way more things, and so far so good. We like it, we're doing well with it, and feeling very proud over doing it like this.
Yeah, there are an increasing number of bands doing it. Clutch have been doing it for 15 plus years.
Yeah, exactly.
It works very well. It's a good model.
Steve Vai since forever.
Yes.
I think Devin Townsend, of course, since forever. And just you need to find the right partnership. Like he's licensing it to a label, I guess, Inside Out, at least in this part of the world. And again, with 30 Tigers, we're very, very pleased with how that's working.
You got Jay Ruston to produce the album again alongside yourselves. Why Jay?
Well, it's funny because the first time we worked with a proper producer was Tobias Lindell for Black Walls, and we did 2 with him. And after the second, we got this idea that maybe it's good to change every time, right? So then we worked with Sylvia Massey for Feathers and Flesh, And she's really the only one where we did, let's just work once with a producer. And because it looks like that in the discography, I always want to point out that she's a genius and we had the time of our lives also with her. And if anyone hearing this had the opportunity to work with her and they don't, they're an idiot, because that was amazing. So just want to clarify that, despite she just just having produced one album with us. Jay, we have clicked on so many levels. Number one, just his craftsmanship. Like, as a producer, of course, he's doing so much metal and is one of the top names for that. As an engineer, as he is living there in Los Angeles, he's done everything. He's got stories and also experience doing all kinds of things in a studio, which makes it very easy to just try things, to just be the stupid songwriter who talks like, can you make this sound like butterflies? And he kind of figures out what you're going for. So, we share a lot of values. We're tree-hugging vegan dog lovers, and also tell jokes that we prefer to keep off the record.
Yeah. Don't worry, we know all about those.
And there's that, the workflow with him. You work so hard without real effort, we just keep going with him in a very, morale tends to be very high. And in terms of looking for, because we are now, like you say, 9 albums into this, we are consciously looking for ways to make it different, challenging, hard. This time we built our own little studio. We rented equipment in the countryside. We've been to different countries. We recorded live. We've done concert albums, finding a new challenge. And as we've been finding all kinds of different ways to challenge ourselves, to feel like beginners doing something for the first time, this hasn't been a real reason to switch yet,
Yeah.
And right now, I say I don't see any reason for next time, aside for if we, just want to do it because of.
Yeah,
but
just
because there's also time, and he's been talking about that too, like sometimes you kind of done everything you can with each other for a while, that it doesn't flow the same way it used to, the juices, so then you need to change, and that's not anyone's fault. But I don't see that happening at this time, but you never say never. But he's brilliant, and we're close friends at this point.
Yeah, you brought him over to Sweden to record with you, didn't you? And you all lived together.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you go into the studio then with all the tracks written, pretty much complete, or were you jamming things out, playing with things?
Most of it, the way we record, like even this album wasn't done as live as Hunter Gatherer or Hail the Apocalypse. That being said, what we do is record bass and drums together. That is being tracked together, so that because that's what they're supposed to do anyway. That's that a good drum take and a good bass take is when those gel. So you might as well work on that together. That being said, the guitar lads were also sitting in that room playing along and doing takes that then we could throw out, because they wanted to mess more with the guitar sound and spend more time on each song like that. But they're playing along, I'm singing along for a bit in a control room, and we are working on arrangement and writing and all this and that also at that stage. But most of it is definitely, like, there's a lot written. The absolute majority is written when we enter the studio. Spend a lot of time rehearsing and all of that. But then we had the Dirt I'm Buried In went through a lot of changes. Like the middle part is completely different from what we entered with.
So that's a very, very, very funk bass riff all the way through that.
Yeah, but it
works beautifully.
Thank you.
It's such a good hook line as well.
Thank you.
If that was getting played on pop radio, I think you'd be having a massive hit single with it. But we all know most radio, national radio, goes, there's a guitar on that. It's a metal band.
Yeah.
We can't possibly play that.
Yeah, we're trying to fix it. We're trying to save heavy metal and the world with
Admirable.
No, but I think the song that was the least finished was what ended up being Valley of Disease, where like the main riffing and one version of the verse with those lyrics, but the drums, what was going on underneath was quite different. But that we had, and we did not have the rest of the song at all. Some of the synthesizers, but this is so good. that it's also that the studio is another opportunity to get creative with writing again. So then we were able to write a new chorus on the spot and figure everything out. But so we like to have an album's worth of songs with us, and then a couple of things that if we nail this, if we figure it out, it is album worthy.
Things you can work on if you need
exactly.
to. So you got Lizzie Hale to guest on Violence No Matter What, the closing track. Was she very open to the idea? I mean, how did it come about?
Yeah, she said yes immediately when she got the question. The whole thing, it started with a song, which I take great pride in, that we, obviously Liz is a name in this, in this world of ours. But we reach out to her first and foremost for the sounds that she can make, and the song was not written to have a famous feature on it per se. It's really started with Tim came up with a bunch of amazing riffs, and when I started to sort through it and start with the vocals, all my ideas pretty immediately were this call and response thing in the intro. I probably had listened to a lot of Simon and Garfunkel that week, so to harmonize two voices all the way and all that and shouting together, those were all the first ideas. Like, okay, quickly went through, Henrik, I hope the bass line is easy for Henrik to sing this so much at the same time, to, well, actually, now we have the opportunity to do something with someone, and Avatar is a sausage party. So they thought immediately a woman would be able to add something, a sound that we simply cannot create on our own. We've done some touring with Hailstorm. I feel a kinship to that band. I have learned through the years that sadly among well-established bands, it's not necessarily so that people like each other as much as you'd like to think as a fan growing up.
You think there's more of a rivalry sometimes?
Yeah, and just internal issues in many groups. And Hailstorm is so clearly, in parts, of course, a literal family.
And a husband and wife as well,
exactly.
Of course.
But beyond that, they're totally a family, And you can tell, and you vibe with that when we've been playing together. And also us in our band, we are closer than ever. So just that, valuing why even bother doing this thing and how important the thing is, like who you get to do it with. There we're very close. And Avatar is of course a metal band first, but if you really want to vibe with and understand what we're doing, you have to acknowledge the rock and roll going on. And I think Hailstorm is kind of the opposite in that, where there are this hard rock band, a rock and roll band, but especially if you see them live, also on record, but especially live, you get that this is pretty darn metal.
Yes.
And Lizzie can go hard, and I think she'd like the opportunity to go really, really, really hard with us. She's one of the greatest voices of our time, so we're grateful.
Is there anybody else you would consider now, having got Lizzie in to guest on a track, that you'd think in the future, maybe we could ask this person? Or
I don't think like that. I could list artists that I'm a fan of and therefore would like to have a stupid shit-eating grin while they're recording something of ours in itself, and that list could be made very long, but we really do it on a what the song needs kind of basis, and the next batch of songs don't exist yet, really. Some embryos exist, but the next thing is not happening. So you have to kind of see, where we go creatively decides what we would want or need to have. It's it's a wonderful thing if one of your favorite guitar players shows up and wants to play a solo somewhere. At the same time, we have great solo players who are very diverse as individuals, and then diverse if you could put the two of them next to each other. So we don't necessarily always need it, but everything is possible, of course. But we don't. That's the wrong end to start thinking about it.
Yeah.
Then it becomes the hip hop thing of like we need a feature. Just
you're not going into writing a song thinking, we've got to make this a duet, or
Yeah, no, exactly. If a song's called for it, then it's great. Then it's a lot of fun, because it is also because how intimate it feels to create something and then have someone play it and create together. Within the band now, we're very used to that intimacy.
Yes.
We've broken down a lot
of
of walls since we were teenagers with each other, as one ends up doing. And therefore it's such a rush when people have been studio players coming in doing the piano for Gun to save us time because I'm a shitty piano player, and whenever it happens that someone outside of the band plays or performs something that we have come up with, it's a very intense, cool, intimate, super exciting feeling. So I don't mind getting that again. You know?
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I think you've done a wonderful job on this album.
Thank you.
The variety on it is great as well. Like I say, the Dance Devil Dance obviously is a strong opening track. The Dirt I'm Buried In has that funk vibe all the way through it. Train with the kind of bluesy country feel to it. There's tracks where John, quite frankly, I don't know how he's not getting cramp in his legs with the double bass drumming through it.
Well, it's because I lay down all the drum tracks
thanks
myself.
for that. That's it. What it is, see, John, you're not actually playing on stage, are you? You can admit this now. You are sitting there. Johannes' guitar takes on a backing track.
Yeah,
No
exactly.
idea what you can do with computer.
Yeah. Which is actually, to give a serious response, the exact opposite of what we're doing. Because what you can do with a computer nowadays is amazing. It levels the playing
indeed.
field where it becomes more and more affordable for any person, not any person in the world, but more people than ever to get to be creative and put themselves out there to at least get started. Then the competition is ruthless, but it's more, has done more good than bad, in my opinion. That being said, there are a lot of buttons on in the studio that you simply should not press. You can quantize, you can sound replace, you can sample, you can time stretch, you can do all these things to make your recordings quote unquote perfect, which is essentially you scrub away the DNA of the players.
Yeah, there's no longer any emotion there, there's no longer any feeling.
Just the human factor of that, not everything will be, you try, the beautiful sound of a human practicing a lot, rehearsing a lot, then trying to be perfect, but being stuck in a human body, and that's where the personality in the playing comes through. And I think a lot of modern metal suffers from that you just overproduce, overcorrect the chorus, which scrubs away DNA. I think drums is the most dangerous and clear example of this, but it's also true with, if you have a guitar sound that doesn't really, where you don't really get to hear the player, the attack and stuff, it does a lot. And same, you can homogenize, pasteurize the vocals to just be super smooth and stuff, and it's takes something away where none of us sounds better than Venom anyway. They had it figured out, and we just.
I think the start of all that, and this is heresy to a lot of people, is Mutt Lange producing Hysteria, because I read an interview where they said there's no guitar squeal on that album because every solo was recorded one note at a time, and he spliced it together. Yeah, which is the sound is perfect, but it's not the sound of a band. You can't replicate that live.
And,
what you
and
do,
Venom sounds better than Def Leppard.
What you do, you can replicate live.
Yeah, exactly.
And you put on a great show as well when you do so.
Yeah, we try. We like to have fun.
I'm glad you do have fun. And the audience has fun as well. This is what it should be. Everybody enjoying themselves.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's also, the final destination of any song. I mean, 30 years, at some point, speaking for myself, but I think for the whole band, we all start to enjoy being in the studio more and more. And as such, it's not as bad as it used to be. That being said, it's still songs for the stage. It's still songs written, we do all kinds of things in the studio if we feel like it and want it for the song, but the fundamentals of what the song is always something that can be performed on two guitars, one bass guitar, one vocal with some backup and drums, and then we have a little samples, a synthesizer here, a tambourine that we don't have arms for to do live or whatever, but it's always that fundamental core of a band, and the song has to work like that. Then we can, put some sizzle on the stage.
Not considered doing the one-man band thing, then having a drum on your back and the tambourine on your wrist.
We had an opening band. That did that actually on a tour. Old Kerry McGee. It was funny. He always lost all his things. That was actually a question during Love. Have you guys seen all my stuff?
Yeah, it's on your back.
Yeah.
You're carrying it. Did
At
you not
best
notice?
case, yeah. All his clothes were from the 19th century. Fantastic, yeah.
Great stuff. Thank you very much for your time, Johannes.
Thank you.
Look forward to the show later.
So do I. It's
Good
gonna
luck
be
with the rest of the
finally
tour.
a bit warmer.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much.